Hey, everyone. I am super excited to be bringing on another amazing author with the Invincible Family Project. If you do not know me, my name is Jill Coletti with Evolve with Jill. And I'm on a mission now. I jumped out of the corporate world and I'm now on a mission to help moms and families heal and work towards creating a life that they love on their own terms. And a big piece of that is the family piece. So when the Invincible Family Project opportunity came up for me, I jumped at it because the it's just basically envelops everything that I'm working towards in my own life. So today we have the amazing Lydia Eppic on here. And first off, let me show the book because I haven't even showed it yet here.
That's right. Here you go.
So, nice. You have it too. So, Lydia, first of all, thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it.
For sure.
It's such a pleasure to talk with each of the authors because our stories have some similarities there where we're kind of guided in this direction of really trying to create hope for our future and other people's futures, right? And of course I'm gonna cough. Of course I am.
It's okay. Are you okay? You good? Awesome.
Yes, I am. I just have a little tickle.
Yeah, you're good.
But everyone's story, there's like been so many Me Too moments, and I had a bunch of Me Too moments when I was reading your story. And obviously, like, I've known you for a little bit now through the Home-Based Revolution, which is how we've all connected as authors with this book. But reading your story, I was like, oh, yes, okay. And it's just so inspiring to kind of read where a little glimpse of kind of like where you were and where you're going and to know you, right? Or have met you virtually, of course.
Soon to be in person, I'm sure of it.
Yes, it is going to happen. It is going to happen. For me, it's just been like so inspiring because everyone comes from a different place. Mm-hmm. So I know you live in the US, you are in Texas, correct?
I'm actually so I live in Tennessee and I'm currently in Mississippi.
Never mind. So, you know why? It was because I saw that you saw people in Texas and you were there.
Yes, we have family in Texas. Yes, and wherever we go, we just we're kind of.
So Mississippi. I've been to Mississippi. I have been there.
Oh, sweet.
I had a friend that went to Mississippi State University, and we went there in the summer. And I am a New Englander, and I have to say, Mississippi in August is interesting. Yeah. But I had my first hush puppies and catfish when I was there, and met some really amazing people. But that weather was not my cup of tea, living up here in New Hampshire. But
wow.
So you have family in Texas. Okay, so that's where I got a little confused because I'm like, I keep seeing you with your Texas, with the other Texas people that I know, and I'm like, okay, so I just kind of assumed. So anyway, but we are both in the US, but what's kind of cool is that this is not just women from the US. It is like Canada, Singapore, like all over the world.
Yeah.
And obviously you've lived in different places. We've experienced different things, but there is like a common thread or a commonality of us really, each one of us serving the world in their own way to just try to help make the world a better place, right?
Exactly.
And I would love if, again, thank you so much for being here. I would love if you'd like share a little bit about yourself and kind of what the Invincible Family Project means to you, so people can kind of get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, goodness. Well, thank you again, Jill, for doing this. I love your heart for connection and just let's bring everyone together and let's do the thing. I absolutely love that. And for me, it's this whole, I guess the best way to look at this story, if you will, is to kind of wonder at where we are currently and then go back. So
Mm.
something I love to do, as clearly evidenced by where I am, is to surround myself with books. I love surrounding myself with stories. I love exploring stories. I see life as a story, and I see each person as basically a walking book. So
Hmm.
yes, each person has a book within them that is just ready to be written, and the whole flow of their life is in that same spirit, that same vein, that same way of thinking. So with Invincible Family, what this really represents to me, and what's so powerful about it, is this is recognizing. Oops. You can't hear that. This is recognizing that we have such a unique calling and such a unique way of showing up in our world. And so being in this place with other women who are going, yes, we see it and we're going after it, is so incredibly powerful. Um, and it's honestly, if you told me 2 years ago that this is where I'd be now, I would have said that's just a dream world. There's no possible way that's going to happen. And if we'd had that conversation 5 years, 6 years ago, I would have said, wait, I'm not a writer. I mean, I was saying that 4 months ago. I wasn't a writer, right?
Right? I
Yeah,
know. I feel you.
this
Yeah.
would not be. But I was in such a really tough, hard place where I couldn't see past what was in front of me, and all I could see was the fact that all I could see was that I was lacking. All I could see was that I was grabbing for straws, and I'd spent years. Um, Basically going from I've got this identity and I'm doing these great and wonderful things. So I went to school and worked as an aircraft engineer for about 5, 6 years, and was called into education. And so I functioned as a teacher and did that for another number of years. And then once we had my second, our son, my husband and I said, okay, we're going to shift gears. And for me, it was really tough moving into stay-at-home motherhood. I was not the girl who, envisioned having kids and being at home with them and nurturing them and being awesome. That was not me. I mean, I never even saw myself as married, let alone having kids. I saw myself as being the career woman. That was
Yeah.
very much a part of the culture that I grew up in. That was very much the expectation that I had from when I was very young.
Hmm.
It was, you're going to go off to school, you're going to become a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. You're going to get your house, you're going to have the car. Then you might think about getting married, and maybe you'll have kids. And then you'll just continue to be awesome, and they'll just be there as your entourage.
Yeah.
So, for it to be the exact opposite that was happening was extremely difficult. I didn't have
Hmm.
any type of framework to understand what that meant and what to do next. And so I'm so incredibly grateful that in that particular chapter of my story, that I needed to get to that low place of I don't even know why I'm here anymore, to then start looking, to start saying, somebody somewhere must have figured this out. Somewhere, somebody knows of a different way, because I am out of answers, and most people don't even realize that the struggle is happening. I grew up in the kind of, it's the perfect family in the perfect house, and they have a perfect life. And so with that kind of, that's the facade we live with.
Yeah.
We don't do imperfect, we don't do flawed, we don't do needy, we don't do struggling. So to have all of that happening, to not really feel like I could talk about it and yet still be looking for answers, it was really tough. But I'm so grateful, because it then allowed for me to be willing to say yes to HBR, to be willing to say yes to seeing myself differently. And from there, it's been not incredible, because it is in fact highly credible.
Right.
It is awesome. It has
Yeah.
been breathtakingly more super abundantly more than I could have ever imagined or thought. So yeah, it's been amazing. And so here we are.
I mean,
And
reading
yeah.
your chapter, I was doing a lot of Me Too's, but just listening to you
Mhm,
speak now,
mhm,
I know that so many people will relate to your story because I do, right?
mhm.
My
Yeah.
story may have been a little bit different, right? Like I was in corporate America,
Mhm,
right? And then I like left that and but there
mhm.
was so much I think a piece of saying we get so stuck in like a certain story that we feel our life, we were meant for. And then
Mhm.
when we do take a different path, we like question everything and
Yeah.
like we don't know what our worth is anymore and we're
Mhm.
like what are we doing, and it can get to a very
Yeah.
lonely, very tough place and
Mhm.
very dark. It can go very dark, right?
Mhm.
And
Exactly.
especially when you don't have, I think what I love most, or one of the things I really love, is the community aspect. Like you were talking about connection at the beginning, like how I love to connect with people and stuff.
Mhm.
Is that community aspect of all the women in this book, and then just the broader home based revolution, the broader
Mhm.
HBR, which stands for home based revolution that we mentioned, and like women like you that we can speak to each other and share these pieces like that. I did not know what
Mhm.
I was doing. I was an engineer. That is who I was. Like
Mhm.
that's who I am. And then
Yeah.
now I have kids and I'm a mom and I'm married and I'm here and like I don't know who I
Yeah.
am anymore. Like I feel like
Mhm.
so many people I know, at least that I talk to, have had at some point in their life like I don't know who I am anymore moments,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And the whole
And
like your story being able to look back, so true.
mhm. Yeah. And what's really wild is recognizing that if I had stayed, and this is a part that, some people ask of just, well, why didn't you just continue working? Why didn't you stay in that job and just
Hmm.
continue to do that initial vision, right? Of you have the house, you have the car, you've got the kids, you've got the husband, and you're still working. And part of it for us was realizing that we desired for our family to be different. We desired
Yeah,
for, um, we desired to be a very intentional family. And that mark
right.
of intention means being present with my kids. That
Yep,
mark of intention means choosing to be aware of what's going on in their world.
yep,
And I knew that, we live in a culture that glorifies checking out, and choosing to be plugged in and aware is it's a bit against the grain. And so what
yep,
I love about this project and what I love about us as a community is that we're choosing to not just simply let life happen.
yes.
And then hopefully things will turn out and maybe the bucket list will happen and perhaps we'll do the things, but instead say, no, I've got now. This is my life,
Oh, I just got the chills when you said that.
right?
Yeah,
And so that's the reason why we travel so doggone much.
yeah, and
Is
just be, yeah,
yeah, and
it,
just be
you're
full.
being intentional. This is how I desire to live. This is why I'm
Exactly.
doing it. Things are
Yeah.
not just happening to me anymore. That I'm making a choice,
Mhm. Exactly.
or we
Yeah.
are making a choice ultimately as a family, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And the thing is, whenever you go on a trip, right, one of the first things you do, depending on who you are, for us, it's pack lots of snacks. But typically, this is something my husband does really well. And I guess I do a bit well too. And it's to look at the tools that we have. Are we fully
Yeah,
prepared? And do we have the items that we need in case there's an
right.
emergency or whatever our trip is intended for? Do we have those tools available? And if we don't have
Exactly.
those tools, how do we make sure to get them? Because the last thing we want to do is be in a place where we're in need and we don't have it yet, right? And the thing is for us, this is part of what I do and part of what I love seeing others to figure out is that you already have built-in tools. They're
Yeah.
already things that are part of your very DNA and part of how you function and how you see the world that gives you the ability to have that tool available for your journey.
Yeah.
Right. So the same way that you would have, for example, a fire truck, and a fire truck is outfitted with all those tools to function as a fire truck. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be different than the minivan, right? That has the functionality of being able to transport a family. I'm not going to be able to transport a family very easily with a fire truck. I won't be able to transport a family easily with a sports car, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So each of us have in our unique design what it is that we need to do what we're purposed and called to do. And so it's now realizing that's part of my gifting is helping people to see that in themselves. What is
Yeah.
your genius? What are the tools that you have? And what do those tools tell us about the destiny and purpose that you're called to live out? It doesn't mean that somehow it's not a comparison thing. It's not well, I don't like my gift. Trust me. Because it's part of you, it's the thing that lights you up,
Yep.
right? And so that's a beautiful thing. Let's find what lights you up. Let's go and do that and just light the whole world up. That's
And
really what it's all about.
yeah, and I mean, I can obviously share that I've worked with you
Yeah.
directly, like one on one with some stuff. And
Mhm.
specifically, first of all, like you had mentioned, like 4 months ago, did you ever think you'd be an author? Like I was like, no. And now I've been in two books. Like, what? What the what? Like this is so crazy, right? That this is happening. Not crazy. I mean, obviously meant to be, and like I'm being intentional with like what's happening, right? And these are projects
Mhm.
that I'm being drawn to for a
Yeah.
reason. Um,
Mhm.
but one of the things is like we sat down and you helped you have like catalyst note sessions and you're like a
Mhm.
vision catalyst, right? Like that's I just love
Mhm.
some of the wording like that you're like it's so perfect. And but you would like literally helped. I think what's so cool about it is I can babble on like I am right now, blah, 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 like all the things that I have in my head, right? And you're just like very precisely like organize them and like create
Mhm.
funnels and be like, yes, and this is your genius, and yes, and this goes with, and like you were able to like plug and play things that I was already doing, but like having them connect with each other. We
Mhm.
did like a 7 book series. Like I have all these
Yeah.
things like outlined that I'm like, what in the world? Like that I never thought would ever have been, but it just from
Yeah.
me uniquely, authentically being me and just babbling to you. And you were able to
Exactly.
be like, oh, girl, this is it. Like right here. Right.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, how
Yeah.
did you get that from that? Like, and like it's you and like a few of the other women that actually are involved in this book and with HBR that have
Yeah.
helped, along with Martha Krejci,
Mhm.
who is like the mentor of,
Yes,
of all of us, right?
for
But
sure.
there's like a handful of women that have done very similar things for me. And I just love this piece that you're now able to share this from it when you
Mhm.
go back. And I'm telling you, if you're interested in learning more about Lydia, read this book. Her chapter is amazing,
Mhm.
of how she kind of got out of that place and is now looking what you're doing. You're helping not only yourself and your family,
Mhm.
but other entrepreneurs, other women, other people find their genius.
Yeah.
And one of the
Mhm.
things I would love for you to share is, didn't you recently um, publish a journal that
Yeah.
I actually feel like would be, because me, like we've talked about this before, like I love to journal and write and all that. And I
Mhm.
know a lot of people watching this will do the same.
Yeah.
But I would love for you to share that if you would,
Yeah. Yeah,
because
for sure. Yeah, so here it is. I love this cover.
oh my
It's
god,
just
me too. My favorite cover.
so
Love it.
awesome.
The beach.
And
The beach
so,
is me.
yeah. And so what's really cool about this journal is this has been the process. It's really simple because I do simple. So a few things to know about me. I like simple. I like to make my own choices, but then I also like structure. I'm a complex person, but I like simple. So,
Love it. Love it.
and so I was thinking about, you know, when I would have those moments of, okay, I'm moving forward, I'm making strides, I am conquering my overwhelm. It was being able to just turn around and face my fear head on. It was being able to turn around and face those thoughts head on. It was
Mm,
realizing that as horrible as I might wish to think things are, there's actually some places to be grateful. There's actually places that there is light, that there are
yes.
wins. And so this is just a daily walkthrough. It's super simple. So you've got some bullet journaling space. It's just free space because I don't like blank pages, but then I don't like lines because lines force me to write. And sometimes I don't want to write. Sometimes I want to
Uh,
draw.
yeah, or
so
doodle, or yeah, exactly.
so being able to just kind of sketch, draw, and do whatever on this side, but then there's also places for your, daily affirmations, what you're grateful for,
Hmm.
celebrating your wins, just unpacking your thoughts. And then what's really key is that, when we recognize that our life is a story, when we choose to see our life as a story, that means that there are lessons that we're learning each and every day. And so there's a section
Hmm.
here that's just about what is it that I learned today? So
I love
that's the way
that.
your mom would say, what is it that you learned at school today?
I
This is
love
we
that.
we
Yeah.
stop asking ourselves that question once we kind of leave school, but it's just what is the wisdom? What is the deeper knowledge and understanding I gained today? Let me just take a moment to reflect on that. And so this is a journal that's designed to do that. It's just to help you to think that through
I
and to
love it.
collect thoughts. Yeah.
Lydia, you know what, girl?
Yeah,
If I did not have a teacher conference that I have to
I was
call
gonna
into
say,
today, I would
yes.
literally just sit here with you while you sit in the library and just talk all day because first of all, that journal amazing because I'm all about gratitude, affirmations, and doing that stuff daily because when you're
Yes.
consistent, and I love the fact that
Mhm.
you pull in like what are your wins and all that.
Yeah.
So make sure Lydia is going to give me the
Mhm.
link. So we're gonna I
Yes.
the link to get the journal. I will share
Mhm.
that in the comments, as well as the link just to connect directly with Lydia. Because if you relate to her story, even in the slightest bit, and even just could listen to her because I just love the way she speaks and I could like listen to her speak all day.
You're
She's
so
just so
sweet.
calming. I'm seriously, you got to find her and follow her because she's so calming. And like just some of the things that you write about at the beginning of your chapter, I'm like, no, that is
Mhm.
not her. But right.
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
there's been a transformation here because if you are sitting and listening to her right now and being like, she's the most calm, content, amazing human being, you'll get a glimpse into like the metamorphosis that she has gone through, which is just amazing. So, girl, again, I could talk to you all
Yes.
day.
Yeah.
Truly, 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 thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Yeah.
I know
Thank
you
you.
have the journal, you have like all sorts of other offerings.
Mhm.
So, like, I'm telling you, if you resonate with Lydia at all, hop on the link, find her, connect with her, and I know I will be seeing you around the
Yeah,
interwebs
for
and
sure.
in our groups. And again, like, seriously, thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you, Jill. I appreciate you. Alright, I'll
And I
see you
hope everyone
later.
has a great day.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.